It is my great pleasure to welcome you this evening for something a little bit different on the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series calendar, an alternative way to kick off season 2015. Tonight at the Whelen Speedway in West Warwick, Rhode Island, we're going to take NASCAR back to its roots, back to Saturday night heat racing. 30 of the Sprint Cup's finest have been split off into three 10-car heats, and they're ready to do battle, old school style. We're taking it right back to the roots of the sport. You think Brian France has done too much changing in the sport in the last few years? You're going to enjoy tonight. It's going to be a hell of a lot of fun in this tiny little bullring. Let's get down to the starting grid for Heat 1. Tony Stewart and Brad Keselowski line up on the front row. That's a pyrotechnic front row if ever there was one. On the second row, Ron Fellows, the road course expert, is alongside Brian Vickers in the 55. Behind them is Eric Almirola and Denny Hamlin running the Jason Leffler tribute scheme, always popular with the fans. And behind them, it's Kurt Busch. Who knows what's going on with him and Patricia Driscoll? Let's not deal with that tonight. Dale Jr. is on his outside. And off the final row, these two guys will be looking to move up quickly. Jimmy Johnson and Joey Logano. They're only going to have 10 laps to do it, so they better work hard and work fast. The Jaguar pace car pulls off into pit lane. Let's bring the noise for Heat 1. And that's a neat move from Brad Keselowski off the first corner. He switches under Tony Stewart to gain the lead. He was on the outside of the first row. Stewart now up out of the groove. This is a completely flat bank track. That's like the Battle of the Beach track that they ran the last few years up at Daytona. And Brian Vickers was fun going into turn one. It looked like he had a little bit of contact with Denny Hamlin there. And he's right up against the wall over there. Reminds me of a wreck Martin Truex Jr. had at Richmond in the Busch Series a few years back. No, actually, he was just on the inside of Tony Stewart. Maybe he just jumped on the brakes too much and that swung the car sideways going in the corner. But he's mounted up against the wall. He is presumably out after that. I'm not quite sure how they're going to get him back out after that. Nice quick safety car to deal with it. And we're back on the way at lap 4. This time Ron Fellows is up on the inside of Keselowski. Keselowski gets another good restart up on the outside. He's doing very well up there. Ron Fellows hanging tough out here tonight though. Doing very well, considering he's known as just a road course ace and nothing more. I guess this flat track is suiting his road course tendencies. You can just treat it like two hairpins, kind of welded together, if you will. Tony Stewart trying to recover from that poor start. He's up on the inside of Denny Hamlin now. He's moved up nicely. Joey Logano and Jimmy Johnson still haven't gone anywhere off the back row. They're struggling to get going. This is an incredibly tough and tight little circuit to pass on. You can see all those tyres scattered on the inside of both the turns. Not really much room to manoeuvre out here. Tony Stewart and Denny Hamlin still side by side, those two scrapping away fiercely. That's giving the front two a chance to move away just a little bit. And Brad Keselowski is starting to look more and more like he'll be able to take out this first heat, provided we don't get any late drama here, which is entirely possible. I said it, didn't I? Commentary curse. I'm sorry. And those two, well, they weren't going anywhere, were they? Joey Logano and Jimmy Johnson, they started off the back row and they were not going anywhere. In fact, they were battling amongst themselves. And I just talked about those tyres. Joey Logano clipped the tyre on the inside, and that distracted him. It sent him straight into Jimmy Johnson. And both of them sort of clipped the wall there right on pit entry. That was quite dangerous, actually. Both of them will be given the hook and taken out of the race. Luckily, both drivers are okay. The car's slightly less so. So we're going to go for a green-white check-in here. We nearly made it clean to the end, but it wouldn't be fair otherwise, would we? So Ron Fellows starts on the inside here on the green-white checker. And again, Brad Keselowski gets a great restart. I wonder if Ron Fellows was allowing that to happen, though. Look at the three wide behind. Tony Stewart is just shoved to the back as suddenly everyone behind wants a late crack at this win. White flag is out. The end of Heat 1 is coming up very shortly, and it looks like Brad Keselowski, who has been the class of this field, will take out Heat 1 tonight in the Whelen Challenge. Deservedly so, as they come 2 by 2 across the line behind. It's like the finish at Talladega. Goodness me, that was great fun, wasn't it? As Brad Keselowski takes the first Heat victory here tonight in the Whelen Challenge, ahead of Ron Fellows, who had a very good performance tonight. And the rest of the field rounding out behind. Dale Jr. managed to creep up to third. So let's get on with the show, thick and fast. Here's the grid for Heat 2. Marcus Ambrose and Ryan Newman on the front row. Danica Patrick and Carl Edwards line up on row 2. Ahead of two slightly more underdog teams behind them, Reed Sorensen in the Tommy Walden race Chevrolet and Trevor Bayne in the 21 Wood Brothers car before Ryan Blaney takes it over for this season. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Austin Dillon, a pair of promising youngsters on the row behind them. And then lining up on the final row is the 2014 Sprint Cup Series champion Kevin Harvick and Clint Boyer. Another two talented drivers who are going to have to work hard to move up through this field. Let's keep the action going, shall we? Another 10 laps of fast and furious action. Let's get ready. Green flag drops, we're underway. And this time they're staying relatively more 2 by 2. It looks like Marcus Ambrose gets a good run. Well, he thought he was clear of Ryan Newman. I can only think that was spotter's error there. He must have thought he was clear of Ryan Newman, and he went to go up the track. Newman was still there. What can you do? He just can't move. Here we go. Coming out of turn 2, he must have thought he was nearly clear, or he would have been. just clipped by Ryan Newman. That is desperately unlucky for those two. Luckily, the rest of the field, good avoidance those guys, because that must have come right up at them. And they just sort of swerved to the left. There's a little bit of room there on the back straight to move. Sadly, both of our front row starters are going to get the hook and out of the race before even a lap has elapsed here. That is desperately unlucky, but a great chance for those behind, including Danica Patrick, who, let's not forget, had a very good performance in the Spitfire 400 at the Crystal Palace Motor Speedway back in 2013. So she can hold her own on the short tracks. We know that. She's got Carl Edwards behind, and behind they are really scrapping hard, and that's giving the front two a chance to move away. We saw this in the first heat. They're 3 wide at the back. My word, you can't fit three cars wide around here. Evidently they can. It's like an episode of Mythbusters up the back there. Absolutely brilliant stuff as Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Trevor Bayne, a 2-wide wall of Fords there. The Rouse teammates technically now, but Bayne is still representing Wood Brothers, and there's contact up the front. Carl Edwards went for the bomb and run on Danica Patrick. They both slid up the track. They're still going, but both of them have lost positions. Carl Edwards is in real trouble here. He's going to fall all the way to the back. That was a ludicrously ambitious move. Really over the top. There was no need for that. Still only at halfway in this heat. But both he and Patrick have fallen back. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has now taken the lead. In this frenetic second heat, Trevor Bayne must now be sensing a chance of the victory. In fact, you've got 3 young guns, 1, 2, 3 at the moment. You've got Stenhouse Jr., Trevor Bayne, and Austin Dillon in third in the legendary number 3 car. Kevin Harvick's worked his way up to 4th, the 2014 champion, looking to represent well here. He may just have had too much to do here. Starting off the back row, Clint Boyer also starting to scrap up. He's not really gone anywhere since the drop of the green flag here. We're coming around to the white flag lap here. White flag is out, and it looks like Ricky Stenhouse has got this one made. Just a smooth final corner. He's going to take out Heat 2 in the Whelen Challenge. Well deserved. That was a frenzied heat. Battles all the way up and down the field. It looked like Danica Patrick and Carl Edwards would run away with it until a controversial move put both of them well down the order, and it handed it to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Who had to fend off huge pressure from Trevor Bayne behind, and Austin Dillon rounds out the top 3 ahead of Kevin Harvick and the unlucky Danica Patrick. So here is the third and final heat of tonight's frenzied action in the Whelen Challenge. We've got 2 hard chargers on the front row. Kyle Busch starts on pole, and Jeff Gordon, whose last season will be this year, on the outside. Casey Mears and Kyle Larson, Rookie of the Year in 2014, on row 2, ahead of Paul Menard and Matt Kenseth on row 3. And behind them, Jamie McMurray and Casey Kane, who had slightly lackluster seasons in 2014, but still got the job done. Jamie McMurray recently won the Rolex 24 at Daytona, of course, and off the final row, it's David Reagan and Greg Biffle, a pair of Ford stars. Let's see what they can do. We've seen so far tonight, it's very difficult to move up from the back. This may be different. So for the final time tonight, let's bring the noise! Smooth off the start. Looks like Jeff Gordon really bogged down there. Did not get a good start at all. Both Busch and Mears have cleared him up front, and now he's stuck up on the outside. We saw this happen to Tony Stewart in Heat 1. If you're up off the inside, it's like old Bristol. If you're on the outside, you're going absolutely nowhere. And Jeff Gordon is in real trouble here. He's being cleared by a lot of cars here. Larson is now being overtaken by Menard, and there was a bit of contact there, and Larson has bundled up. We've got a big one on the front straight. That's desperately unlucky for the Chip Ganassi cars. They're both wiped out in it, along with Casey Kane and Matt Kenseth. That started as a chain reaction instant by the looks of it. It looks like Paul Menard was up the inside coming out the final corner. Larson just understeered, hit the wall, bounced off a Menard, and collided with Jeff Gordon, which then spun him back to the right, and he slammed into the wall, and suddenly Casey Kane and Matt Kenseth and Jamie McMurray behind had absolutely nowhere to go. That is how quickly things can escalate here at the Whelen Speedway. Luckily, Reagan and Biffle were able to avoid it. We've got 4 cars knocked out in one fell swoop, which will only leave, by my calculations, 6 left in the race. So this heat has suddenly opened up. It is now really anyone's game. We're only 3 laps into it. We get the restart on lap 4. Casey Mears will lead them away, with Kyle Busch on the outside will look very strong off the initial start. Although Menard is now working his way up here. Look at this from Paul Menard. This is a very strong performance. This is a guy who's often accused of being a bit lackluster in the Sprint Cup, only famous for his sponsor and all that, but he does have a win at the Brickyard 400, and ironically, this was the guy who he was fighting off, the guy who's now behind him, Jeff Gordon. So Menard works his way up to second. He's now putting serious heat on Casey Mears up in front. He's going to have to work very hard. Kyle Busch, meanwhile, is falling back. I wonder if he's got a problem with this car, because he's looking very strong initially. Here comes Menard for the lead. Very aggressive. You've got to be uber aggressive here tonight, and Jeff Gordon's got to follow him through, and Mears is about to get shuffled in the same way that Kyle Busch was off that last restart. Biffle moved past Mears for third as well. And moving away, they're single file now for the first time all night. A relative oasis of calm, but we've only got 3 laps left in this heat. Anything can still happen. This is about to go off. They're just waiting for the moment. Casey Mears looking back under Greg Biffle for third. He's determined to get that position back. Behind, there's a little bit of contact. Kyle Busch nudges him through the tyres, and somehow they save it. I thought they were going to wad them up in turn 1 and 2. Absolute carnage, but white flag is out. Menard has now got Jeff Gordon sniffing all over his rear bumper. Will Menard hold him off? Jeff Gordon to the inside. He's looking, this is a perfect move, and he steals it off the final corner. He might well be retiring at the end of this season, but he has lost none of his amazing talent. And that is how close it was at the line. Less than half a car length at the line. Paul Menard must have thought he had it made. Jeff Gordon snatches it to take, well, as a start to your farewell tour, it doesn't get any better than that, really, does it? Greg Biffle eventually wins the hardball battle for third. And here are your heat winners tonight in the inaugural Whelen Challenge here at the Whelen Speedway in West Warwick, Rhode Island. Brad Keselowski won a chaotic heat 1. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. rose through the carnage in heat 2 to take out the second heat. And Jeff Gordon used all of his experience and talent to snatch the win off the final corner, win heat 3. I have been Adam Johnson, and I have really enjoyed myself tonight. I hope you all have too. It has been a great evening of old school, short track NASCAR racing. I hope to see you all again, to do it all again very soon. Goodbye from myself and 865 Productions.